Kakadosh Boker Or. I wanted to share with you a beautiful idea on this week's Parashat Shoftim. We come and we say, Shoftim v'shoterim titen lecha b'chol she'arecha. You have to place whether it's going to be Shoftim v'shoterim, judges and policemen, in all your gates. Rashi explains lishvatecha. What does that mean? Melamed shemoshivim dayanim lechol shevet v'shevet u'b'chol ir va'ir. We're going to place dayanim for every single shevet and every single city. Now, why does he say titen lecha? If we're talking about the entire concept of in plural or the entire Klal Yisrael, why are we speaking about dafka lecha? Titen lecha b'chol she'arecha, right? So he comes and he says this could really hint to us be'emet that a person has to place on every single individual, meaning we have to place on ourselves, every individual, a shofet and a shoter. What does that mean? To watch us to go away from the sur mera v'asetov, and that way we will be able to come and to grow. What is that called? In other words, we call it a chaver tov. Why? Because a chaver tov, a good friend, they make sure that they're going to ascertain that we are going to grow. A human being, we are nogea b'davar. We always look at ourselves that we're perfect. We don't see our negatives. We don't see our flaws. We always come and we think we're perfect. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu could have made another perfect person, it would have been me, right? That's what everyone thinks. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he puts every single person. He says, however, though, right, it comes and it says, just like it says, V'shafetu et ha'am mishpat tzedek, the friend doesn't have the same, we're going to say, briberies as we ourselves have. And that's why it comes and it says, the pasuk is not just coming and telling us stam, it's a hoda'ah. It's coming to teach us something. What is it coming to illustrate us? That if a person will not come, they cannot judge themselves. They have to be judged by a third party. Mimila lo yeh mishpat tzedek. Meaning, if I'm going to come and I'm going to do my own bookkeeping, my own everything on my own, whatever it is, so what happens? It's going to be a problem. So therefore, he comes and he says, Mishamayim, they come and they say that we start this at the beginning of the Shnat, right, of the Limudim. He says, why? To hint that when you're going to start, whether it's school, right, everyone goes to school now, right, and everyone goes, so what happens? What happens is if a person's not going to come and they're not going to pay attention, right, so they're not going to have success. You're going to start Bet Sefer, you're going to start school, you're going to start, it doesn't matter what it is, university, Bet Sefer, Kolel, anything that you're starting. We always start in Elul. You're always starting at the beginning of the year. Pay attention to who your friends are. So that's what it says in Mishnah in Avot, Perek Bet Mishnah Tet, Ezu derech yeshara sheyidabek ba'adam. What is the proper path that a person should come and they should cling to? Rabbi Yoshua Omer, Haver Tov. Rabbi Yoshua says, get a good friend. Vadim Bartanura says, Shemochicho kesheroe oto ose davar she'eno hagun. You know what a good friend is? Somebody that will come and will rebuke you when you're doing something wrong. Just like the Ramchal says in Mesilat Yesharim, Mi she'enav birosho, somebody that has eyes on his head, Yizaer v'yayem ma'aseh mi sherotze liknoto lo lechaver o liyoetz. He comes, you should try to get somebody, an advisor or a friend. A person should always get innocent friends, that they should illuminate his eyes, that which we are blind in. And they will rebuke him. With their love, they're going to save him from all bad. Because a person cannot see, because as the Gemara says, a person will never find any defects within themselves. But they will see it. And they will come and they will advise him and they will warn him about that negative things. And that's what it says. You want salvation with a lot of wisdom, with a lot of counsel. Why with a lot of counsel? Because the other people will be able to come and say things that you never thought about. When he comes and he says, Chaver amiti, what is a true friend? Somebody that comes and he's going to want the best for you. And he's going to point out your mistakes. Not somebody that's going to cover up, right, what you're doing. Somebody that covers up what you do, that's not a good friend. That's not a good friend. A good friend means he's going to put it in your face that what you're doing wrong. He's going to do obviously with love, right? Because he's coming and he's doing it. He's a friend, but he's going to do that. כי זה לא דואג לטובת חברו אמיתית, רק דואג לטובתו בשביל להחניף לו. He comes and he says, if the friend is going to come and he's not going to tell you that you're doing something wrong, but rather what he does is he comes and he tells you everything that you do is always right. So he's flattering you. If he's flattering you, it means that there's something, there's an ulterior motive there. There's something there. Because a true friend will tell you exactly what's going on. So he comes and he says, and that's in essence what it says, ukne lecha chaver. You have to purchase for yourself a chaver. Aval chaver tov shebemet mu'il lo. But somebody that will actually come and help you. Why? What does it help? Imagine right now you come and you have a friend and you think they're your good friend. And every time you do something wrong, instead of him coming and putting you in the right path, what does he do? You're always right. Are you going to grow? Are you ever going to learn from your mistakes? Are you ever going to fix that which you've done wrong? You know many times people come and they get into huge forms of Shalom Bait. Why? They come and they said, yeah, but I was speaking to my friend and he said, I'm correct. I said, did your friend ever hear her side of the story? Well, no, not really. I just heard his side. So then how do you think you're correct? You can never actually say that. First, let's hear what her side of the story is. Now let's see. And then you have to put them what is correct and what is wrong. And then you have to actually show it to them. So they illustrate to them to see Bemet what it is, what is right and what is wrong. Rabbi Yonah, he comes and he says in Igeret HaTeshuvah, there's a letter of Teshuvah. Rabbi Yonah says, Derech Yeshara sheyavo lo adam lirat shamayim. You want Yirat Shamayim. You want to know what the path of getting Yirat Shamayim is? Liknot lo chaver echad o shnayim o shlosha. Acquire for yourself 1, 2, or 3 friends. Ledaber imayim tamim b'divrei Yirat Shamayim. To speak to them in Yirat Shamayim. And if a person made a sin, or yivsha b'mitzvah, or they didn't do a mitzvah properly, yochiach chavero. His friend should rebuke him. They should remind themselves of mitzvot. And they should warn themselves. And if there's something, they should strengthen themselves. And they should always do it to help each other out. Because obviously the more people that are doing it, right, the better that it is. And that's what it means in a pasuk. That one friend is helping his other friend. Hashem will listen. And even give a knas. Come and give yourselves a penalty. Do you know that it's actually written, there's a Mishnah. In the Mishnah actually says that you have to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chol levavecha. What is b'chol levavecha? It's said b'chol libecha, with all your heart. What is b'chol levavecha? How many hearts do you have? So the Gemara, the Mishnah says over there, it's not really b'chol levavecha, it's b'shnei yitzarecha, with your 2 yetzers. Your yetzer ra and yetzer tov. Now the question is, I understand you could serve you could serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Yetzer Tov, makes sense. How do you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Yetzer Ra? Anybody ever thought of that? How do you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with your Yetzer Ra, your evil inclination? How do you do that? So when we want to answer, how do you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with the Yetzer Ra? So Mauricio gave one answer, which is basically you're using one midah, for example, laziness, and you're going to come and you're going to use it against that. Instead of doing an avera now, I'm going to be lazy. So I'm using that to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I gave another answer from, I think it was a Ben Ishchai, but it was brought down from, I think, Rabbi Yonah and other Rishonim also, that you're using one midah against another midah. So for example, a person is very, very, very stingy, or they don't want to, they don't give money that quickly. And all of a sudden, he's got a problem. A big Yetzer Ra. What's a Yetzer Ra? He doesn't go to the Bet Knesset or speaks Lashon Hara. So what does he do? Every single time he doesn't come to the Bet Knesset, $20 to the Bet Knesset. Every single time he speaks Lashon Hara, boom, $20 to the tzedakah box. So what happens? He's using the Yetzer Ra of the stinginess against the other strong Yetzer Ra, which was of whether it's speaking Lashon Hara or not going to the Bet Knesset, and that is using one Yetzer Ra against another Yetzer Ra. That's what it means that you're There's a third answer. You know what it is? For example, you have a Yetzer Ra. You know what the Yetzer Ra is? Yetzer Ra is you like to drink. Yeah, you like a good whiskey, a good scotch, a good arak, whatever it is. Do it for a mitzvah. Drink, but on Shabbat. Drink on Yom Tov. No, we're not talking about getting drunk. We're talking about that person. You like a good piece of meat. Eat meat. Right? But it's my Yitzhak. Look, I'm saying like, wow. Eat it. Sudat mitzvah. Siu Masechet. You've got Brit Milah, Pidyon Ben. You've got Shabbatot, Yamim Tovim. Do it, but in a mitzvah way. That's how you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with your Yetzer Hara. And that's what Avraham Avinu did. Avraham Avinu says, Bechol levavecha. When you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ve'avtat Hashem Elokecha, you love Hashem, Bechol levavecha, with all your heart. It doesn't say Bechol libecha, with all your heart. With all your hearts. What does that mean? With both. Your Yetzer Hara and Yetzer Tov. You do both. You're using it with both. Very, very, very important concept. So here, it's brought down that a person has to understand that you have to have a good friend in order to teach you the right path of where you're going. And it actually says, and that's what Rabbi Yonah also says, Chaver tov va lirei Hashem hitchaber bechevratam umechevra po le'aven erchek ve'ehov hamochichim. Love the ones that rebuke you. Why? Chaver tov is the one that he loves, the ones that rebukes you. If your friend gives you rebuke and you don't like him, so that's a problem. Because that's a good friend. A good friend will put you on the right path. A good friend will put you derechito. He'll put you. Sometimes your parents will tell you things. Do they love you? Of course they love you. But only if they give you the rebuke. What does it say? Chosech shivto sone beno. If you don't give the shevet, the palos to your children, you hate them. What do you mean you hate them? Because you always have to understand that if you want to be good, somebody's going to have to correct you. Somebody's going to have to tell you that you're doing something wrong. And if it's not going to be your parents, if it's not going to be a friend, so who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? They always say, by the way, that that's your wife's job. The reason why you're married is because she's always your other eye, your other half. So therefore, she's putting you in line because you think A and she tells you B. And she thinks B and you tell her A. And then you try to get like a middle grounds. You try to make some type of a compromise, but it's many times to open up your eyes. That's why it says that your wife is an ezer kenegdo. What does that mean? The Netziv says she's a helper, but against you. If she's a helper, she's not against you. And if she's against you, she's not a helper. Explain what does that mean. Says the Netziv Mivolozhin. He comes and he explains. Imagine right now you got very, very upset. You went to the Bet Knesset and you got upset. Yeah, why? Somebody took away the kavod that you wanted. You wanted mafti, they took it away. You went crazy. You go home and you tell your wife. If she's going to come and start the fire even more, what's going to happen? It's going to become even worse. Imagine right now she comes and she says, but he did that to you last time as well. And this is also he did to you. And this, what's going to happen? You think that she's helping you. But really, Be'emet, she's against you. Why is she against you? Because you think that really, Be'emet, she's helping you. And really, Be'emet, she's against you. Because instead of calming you down and then coming and saying, what happens? Exact opposite. Exactly. No, this is exactly like Korach. What does that mean? That means that she's actually against you. She's not for you. But if you come home and you said, this guy, you're all fire. And she's against you. She says, yeah. But at the end of the day, what's greater for the neshama? Do you say the haftarah or do you have shalom? Or what? Nah, but you don't understand. And she's against you. But she calms you down. So even though she's against you, she helped you. And when she helps you, that in essence is what you're supposed to understand. So therefore, the ezer kenegdo is actually the fact that she's kenegdecha. That's your ezer. That's how she's helping you when she's against you. Because she's actually cutting and putting you into the right proportion. And that's called the chaver tov. Right? What do we say? Sameach tesamach re'im ahuvim. Your best friend is your wife. Right? That's what it is. Your spouse, that's your best friend. That's what you're supposed to understand. So he comes and he says also, this is brought down, Chazal say, this is Avot Rabbi Natan. Remember that there's Pirkei Avot, and then there's Pirkei Avot, which is called Avot Rabbi Natan. And Avot Rabbi Natan says, Yesh lecha chaverim, miktsatan mochichin otcha, umiktsatan meshabchin otcha. You've got friends. Some friends, siempre te alaban. They're always going to be pleasing you, applauding you, singing your praises. Other ones, they're always telling you, right? They're going to be telling you what you have to fix. He says, Ehov et hamuchichacha usna et hameshabchacha. Love those who rebuke you and hate those that will only praise you. Because the ones that rebuke you, they're going to bring you to Olam Haba. He says, but the one that's only praising you, he says, he's going to take you out of this world. Listen to the brother of the Maharal Miprag. The Maharal Miprag, his brother, wrote a sefer called Sefer HaChaim. And he says, because of that, Avraham Avinu rebuked Avimelech. Why? He made a peace treaty with Avimelech. The second that he made a peace treaty with Avimelech, ve'ochiach Avraham et Avimelech, he rebuked him. That his servants came and they stole from him the wells. It says, V'chol ahava she'eni ma tochacha. Any love that there's no rebuke is not a love. Immediately after he saw something, he rebuked him for it because he loved Avimelech. And therefore, ahava, ohev, a lover, ohev, is written with the old hey. Hey is justice. So he says, aladin va'tochacha. Lomar shet mi sheyehav adam umochicho. If he loves you, he's going to rebuke you. Vilu oyev, the word enemy. Oyev is with a yod, not ohev. Oyev. It's written the exact same way. The difference is a hey and a yod. Ohev, a lover. Oyev, enemy. Why is it with the yod? It's showing you on chesed v'rachamim. Yod is showing you on not midat adin, it's midat chesed and rachamim. Lomar she'im merachamo ve'eno mochicho. If you love him and you don't give him rebuke, you're his enemy. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Et asher yehav Adonai yochiach. The one that Hashem loves, he'll give him rebuke. The one that Hashem loves, that's the one that he gives rebuke. What does that mean exactly? That means that a person has to understand who is your true friend. Also, the Magid Midubna, the Kava Yashar brings down, Ve'avta lecha kamocha, ze kol gadol b'Torah, en lecha ahava yoter kashel adam davar megune be'achiv Yisrael, and he's going to be mochiach oto. So the Kava Yashar also comes and he says the same thing. So you have to come and you have to rebuke him. Magid Midubna, he once was called by the Gaon many times to give him musar. Now imagine, you're the Gaon Mivilna. How much musar can you give? How much musar can you get? But he called somebody over and he asked him, I want you to rebuke me. I want you to give me. Why? I want to become better. I want to improve. I want it. If you actually pay attention, right? It's actually it's a pasuk in Mishle, where the Mishle, it says over here, it says in Mishle that when you're going to tocheach chacham, right? It says al tochach letz penisnaeka. Don't give rebuke to a letz, to a mocker, because he's going to hate you. Tocheach chacham, give rebuke to a chacham, yaveka, he will love you. Why? The chacham always wants rebuke. You know, he always wants rebuke. He always wants to grow. Imagine right now, you're a company. What do you want, even before the positive reviews on Google and all the other places? What do you want? You want to speak face to face to the client, and you want to find out how you're doing. If he tells you that it's good, you make sure to tell him to leave your review. If he tells you it's not good, you try to plead with him. Please don't write me a review. I'm going to try to fix it. And then why? Because when you want to come and you want to see how you're doing, if you go in life and you don't see how you're doing, you will never grow. And therefore, the only way you're going to grow your company is I want to hear feedback. I want to hear, what can I improve? Are you happy with my service today? What can I come and do? Why? Because you want to do it. And as long as it's going to be a constructive criticism in order to build, that's exactly what I want. I need that. But then you need a true friend. Because an enemy, it's not constructive. The enemy, if he's going to give you advice or he's going to give you, right, it's not constructive. That's just complaining. That's rebuke. No. You need a true friend but a true friend is a person that's going to give you the rebuke. He says so too at the beginning of the year. The most important thing is to understand is to get a good friend. The Chaye Adam, he comes and he says that when he was 14 years old and he went to yeshiva, he went to his father to get his last blessing right before he was leaving, and he told me, my son, you're very, very young. Give me a handshake and promise me that you're only going to become friends with good people that serve Hashem. He said he gave him a handshake, and Baruch Hashem, I fulfilled his commands. There was, right, a few weeks that I was with a bad group. I almost fell, chas Shalom, and Hashem with his mercy, he saved me from their hands. He says, and even after many, many years, think about it. His father didn't tell him, learn well, behave yourself. He told him one thing: give me a handshake and promise me you're only going to have good friends. Because those good friends are the ones that's going to make everything, that's going to make you who you are. And by the way, as our custom, right, this in essence is what a person actually has to come, right, and understand. Why, right? It's actually brought down, what is a true friend, right? There's many different, if you look online, there's many different, whether it's going to be, you're talking about, the entire concept of, friendships and things like that, right? 11 signs of genuine friendship, right? They want us to be better people. They want to make us better people, right? They want to see us grow. They also want to see better versions of ourselves, right? They're role models. But one of the things also as well is they keep us in check, right? They support us, right? Through adversity. What does that mean? One of the things is support during the times of success, but genuine friends, even through the times of our peaks and everything, they will always be able to tell us things, to keep our stress in check, to keep us humble, right? Everything, it's always to do with that. A true friend will always point out our mistakes and imperfections. They will rebuke us in order to make us better. And he says, but that's the true secret of a hidden treasure, because that's a true friend. If you come and you have somebody that all the time they're only telling you good things, that's not a true friend. A true friend will come and he'll tell you, this is not good. You have to become better. And what you did over there, you could get a little bit better. Why? They want you to become better. They want you to improve. And that in essence what a person has to do. Right? There's actually a beautiful katava from the, how do you call this? From Hidabrut also. That he comes and he says, when you want to come and you want to purchase, you're going to purchase, let's say, for example, a car. So at the beginning, what do? You come and you check, whether it's going to be the horsepower, whether the, gas, how much gas and petrol does it use? You want to check how, what type of services does it have, the price, before you actually sign, you're going to check on everything to make sure that everything is, he says, when you're looking for a friend, says Rav Noach Weinberg, he was the head of all of Esha Torah, Rav Noach Weinberg Zatzal, he comes and he says, right, you have to do the exact same thing. You have to actually come. He comes and he says in the Etzah, he says, when we're acquiring Torah, how do you acquire Torah? V'dikduk chaverim. Dikduk means being meticulous, usually means grammar. When you're being meticulous, how do you pronounce the word? He says, why does it say v'dikduk? You have to look into, you have to choose, right, with the help of friends. He comes and he says, they're so important about what exactly, who's your friend. You have to actually understand, right? He comes and he says, I have to make sure. And you have to actually open it up to yourselves from other people. He says, you're not obligated to kill me, right? But if you're going to come and you're going to convince me that I'm right, I'm going to, he says that you're right, I'm going to go with you without any problems. What does that mean? Every single human being needs a friend to speak to be with, the company, everything that you want. But at the end of the day, he comes and he says, it's very, very important to know who's going to be that friend. So therefore he comes and he says, it's important to understand he's going to look at you, how am I going to be in the next 20 years? If I'm going to be with this friend, how am I going to be? How does he look like? How am I going to look like? And pay attention. Do you know there was something incredible? Somebody in my Bet Knesset, they came and they told me I wanted to decide which school to send my children to. So I go to the classes, whatever it is, okay, fine. And I want to see, right, the class. So they go, they see the school, they see the building, the facilities, the class, fine. He comes and he says, what's the oldest grade that you have here? Grade 8, right? It's an elementary school. He says, okay, can I see the grade 8? He says, your children are going into preschool, into kindergarten. What do you want to see grade 8? No, I just want to see. I want to see. Okay. They come, they take them to grade 8. He says, that's how I made my decision. I went and looked at him and I said, why? He says, very, very simple. He says, my child is going to look like this children in grade 8. He wanted to look at the end result. So when you already look at the beginning, you want to already see what's going to be the end. How do you see the end? Look what goes through. And by the way, that doesn't only work in elementary school. That works in yeshivot, that works in universities, that works in everything in life. Everything in life. Why? Because that's what happens. You want to see what's going to happen later on. And that's why it's so important just for us to know, right, such a thing. Hamadbe'ahu imun, you have to obviously have trust, right? You have to pay. That's why a chaver tov, you have to mamash. You have to, it's not just stam. Tovim hashnayim min ha'echad. It's always better 2 than 1. Why? Because then we could be more objective. We could think about different things, right? So he comes and he says, a chaver is more than just an acquaintance. An acquaintance, we could have hundreds of acquaintances, but you have a good friend. A friend is not an acquaintance. A friend is somebody else. A friend always comes. They're going to encourage us. They're going to sit together. But it's not just stam, but they're always here to build. You need builders in life. And the builders are your good friends. A friend that wants to build. If you're going to have a person that you're always right, forget about it. There's no difference. And then he continues and he said something very interesting. He comes and he says, what's the difference between a shofet, right, between a judge and a lawyer, an orech din? He comes and he says, right, there was anashim bar ratzon tov. They come and they say like this, yagiu yacha lepitron tov. He comes and he says like this, I always want to hear what's the other side. I always want to know what's the truth. I want to know what was the facts. I want to change even if it's not good. Even if it's not pleasant. It doesn't matter. Right? Speak to your friend and you want to know the truth. And that's the way that it is. You have to remember, right? What's the difference between the shofet and orech din? The orech din, he's only coming and he's only showing you one side. He doesn't care about the facts. He wants to obscure the facts, actually, right? All he wants to do is show you one side, and this is what there is. The shofet, the judge, has to take himself out, and he has to see which side is true. What actually really happened. I'm not only listening to one lawyer, I have a second lawyer, and I'm actually trying to judge what's going on. Shofetim v'shotetim titelecha b'chol sha'arecha. We're not supposed to place to ourselves lawyers, because lawyers comes from liars. Not that. It's judges. We have to place to ourselves a judge. Judge means not because of what happened, I'm going to convince myself that I'm always right. I want to know how to perfect myself. How do I become a better person? This Elul, whether it is that we're starting a new school, whether it is we're starting new kolel, a new shiur, a new place in the Bet Knesset, anything new, or we're just starting new again. We have the new month of Elul. Try to get for ourselves a good friend. A friend that will be able to come and tell us all the truth, that we're able to grow, that we're able to become better people. And that, in essence, is what we're supposed to be doing. Bezrat Hashem, Shabbat Shalom.